Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another episode of On Target. On today's episode, we're going to talk about CIP-004, access management. So access management is one of probably the most failed requirements on the CIP standards. Between that and kind of change management, we see the most issues in a lot of areas for a lot of entities. Access management is one of those where it may look really good on the surface, but as you peel back the layers of the onion, as I like to say, people start to cry, and it gets really ugly fast on CIP-004. That's because a lot of things are managed at a very high level, whether it's through AD groups or other mechanisms. Some folks really just kind of take it easy, say, "Oh, we've got everything buttoned down." But once you really dig down into the permissions, the actual accounts that are enabled on devices, those kind of things, that's where, again, the onion peels back and people start to cry. So CIP-004 is a really interesting one because we often see a lot of automation. We see a lot of tools. We see a lot of things. The funny thing is a lot of these tools are kind of homegrown, right? They started out as something small. Maybe it was just a spreadsheet, which I'll talk about spreadsheets in a minute. But they've evolved now into these databases, into these different things, and then they're trying to bolt it on to some other product, and here's our database. It gets very convoluted very quickly if you're not careful on the access management front. There's multiple layers of permissions and different devices or different systems that employees or contractors have access to. So like I said, it can get very convoluted very quickly. It's very important for entities to understand how to go from an access that was approved, right? They talk about approval records, whatever that may look like to you. But that approval record or that access that's approved for an individual all the way down to the device that they have access to and the account that they're using on that device. And again, not talking just Active Directory, but even local accounts, shared accounts on the devices themselves. You've got to be able to connect those dots all the way down. I don't care how many other groups and different permissions and everything are in the way. You've got to be able to walk the auditor down from person to device and the permissions associated with their access on that device. So that's where a lot of issues come up. A lot of folks also trip up on BCSI repositories because they're a lot of times just SharePoint sites and they get added and removed, and people get added and removed to sites, and we've seen multiple issues over and over again with people unintentionally being added to a BCSI repository because they were part of this AD group and they just copied that and the permissions over to here, and then all of a sudden there's an unknown BCSI repository. It happens all the time. So be really careful on the BCSI side of things as well, because that, I would say, is even more prevalent now. But the funny thing is a lot of people aren't looking that deep because they don't want to. A lot of people don't drill down into their access management and their lists and their permissions and their devices or targets. So it's really important for you to peel back layers of the onion. Get the crying out of the way before you go to audit. It's a lot better when you're during the audit to have that out of the way and have confidence in the data that you have. So that's the thing on access management. And if you're still managing all your access levels and all your employees in a spreadsheet, good luck. But I will say that based on some of the tools I've seen and some of the homegrown stuff I've seen over the years, sometimes a spreadsheet might actually be better. So take that as food for thought. But access management's a tough one, and we're definitely here to help. From Archer's standpoint, we have lots of folks that are very well versed in the access management universe, very familiar with all the tools. Even some of the homegrown stuff that we've seen, pretty interesting. We can certainly help you sift through that and peel back the layers of the onion and maybe help you cry a little less when you do that. So thanks for joining us for this On Target, and we'll talk with you soon on the next one.
Stay up to date on all the videos we release here at Archer by clicking on the subscribe button. Click on the bell to be notified right away when we release new videos. Secure your company with Archer today. Visit us at archerint.com and reach out with an email or a phone call. Is there a topic or question you'd like for us to answer? If so, leave it in the comments below and tune in each Monday for a brand new episode of On Target with Archer.